Hey everyone, I'm John Heides from Hudson County View, and I'm joined with some representatives from the American Legion Post 18, and we're going to be talking about a number of veterans issues, of course, an appropriate timing with Veterans Day here in 2020. So first of all, before we really get going, I just wanted to give everybody that we're speaking with tonight a chance to introduce themselves. So just going left to right quickly, Troy, could you lead us off? Just brief introduction, maybe 30 seconds to a minute each.
Sure, it's a real pleasure to be here with you today, John. The Hudson County View has done a wonderful job covering veterans issues throughout our area, and it's a privilege for myself and my fellow Legionnaires of Weehawken American Legion Post 18 to be here. I'm currently the commander of Post 18, former U.S. Army chaplain and Iraq War veteran, and looking forward to discussing issues that are relevant not just to our veterans, but also to how veterans can be credible messengers to address these same issues for families throughout our area.
Thanks, Troy. Lola, could you give us a brief rundown?
Yes, my name is Lola Paluca. Actual real name is Vittore. My family calls me Lola. I'm full-time with the Army, work as a HR, but also I'm a staff sergeant for the U.S. Army Reserves as a PSYOP.
All right, great. Eric, just a quick summation of some of your accolades here.
Sure, John. First, I would like to also join Troy in praising you for some of the coverage that you do for veterans around the community. As you know, I work full-time for the Township of North Bergen. On the Army side, I currently serve in the Army National Guard as a sergeant, and I actually drill local to here. I drill at a Teaneck. Been serving for the past 12 years, and currently serve on the American Legion board at a Weehawken.
All right, excellent. And last, certainly not least, Adam, could you just give our audience a little information about your background?
Adam Kerr, I am the Post 18 Sergeant at Arms, as well as the Hudson County American Legion Sergeant at Arms. I am an Army veteran of the Operation Enduring Freedom. I was a communications specialist and a bodyguard. Now I am a professional wrestler, a very good one in the marquee, much to Troy's dismay. Troy would like to see me as a jobber, but I am not. Yeah, that's me.
All right, we'll talk about the page trade another time, but I mean, definitely a topic that could get its own half hour for sure.
Absolutely.
But so, guys, obviously, with Veterans Day upon us, I think something, everybody always wants to thank the vets. And of course, I want to do that before we get into it. Thank you all for your service and everyone at your post, everyone you served with, so on and so forth. Obviously, it's something that can't be said enough. But with that, I think a lot of people aren't really, that haven't served, don't maybe understand the significance of Veterans Day. So whether you're still enlisted, whether you're a civilian, or whether you're someone who has formerly served, what would be a way you could get involved, a way you could help out the cause on Veterans Day, and for the long term as well as the short term?
Well, I think one of the things that myself and my fellow officers at Post 18 have worked on for several years is this concept of continued service. We really celebrate service in the American Legion. We celebrate it at Post 18, and I think we celebrate that throughout the veterans community. I think there are several of us here on this call alone who work not only with the American Legion, but groups like Mission Continues, which are doing wonderful things in communities throughout our country and specifically throughout the greater NYC area and Newark and throughout all the boroughs to uplift community organizations and provide strong hands, strong hearts, and strong backs to a variety of community service projects. This is an opportunity on Veterans Day to join with veterans in improving all of our homes and all of our communities and ultimately all of our lives. Celebrating service celebrates the veterans who serve. So for me, I think that's a really big component of what Veterans Day means to me.
Thanks, Troy. And by the way, just a clerical point, you all don't have to answer every question, but we'll just try to make it as conversational as possible. But with that, whoever wants to go next, feel free to jump right in.
I'm gonna cut out real quick. I'm having some audio difficulties. I'm gonna rejoin.
Okay,
Continue. I'm sorry. I
no
apologize.
problem. Okay, Lola, would you want to continue as we're waiting for Adam?
Sure. Any specific questions you want me to answer?
Yeah, so I basically, just to reiterate, the question that I asked the group was, with Veterans Day, like, a lot of people obviously know what the holiday is, it's marked on the calendar, but in terms of how you could help, be an effective partner, whether you're a civilian, whether you're someone in active service or someone who's previously served, what would you like to see people in the community get involved with for both the short term and the long term?
Well, it's family welfare comes first and foremost, especially in this situation where everybody's locked in, either due to working from home or teaching kids from home. Family welfare, just basically making sure that families are having their basic needs met, even if it comes with food, minimal, or the ways that if they're having the rents paid, or if they need any attention as far as, because it's stressful to be at home all day dealing with children and all the duties that come with being a parent. It doesn't have to be male or female, but just working from home, it's just like a chore itself. And I don't know about your experience, but people that work 8 hours outside the home, they know they leave all the stress outside and they just focus on their work. But when you are at home, it's not just the work you're doing like I have in front of me right now, but also the kids, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then my main concern is that I'm lucky that I have all those things. I have a job, but what about the families that actually don't have a job? What about the families that actually don't have food for the children on the table? So being as a veteran myself, I've seen families overseas that actually worry home for their families. It's like, does my wife have food, or are my kids going to school? Do they have clothes, or is my, everything provided to them? So I think body checks is the number one thing to do. In the Army, or I should say in armed forces, we have a body system. It's like battle buddy. Battle buddy doesn't stand just for when you go to war. You're stand for your friend, but also you are battle buddy for life. It means when you get out of the military and civilian life, you're supposed to be friends for other military members, for other veterans, to make sure that they're okay. Starting from basic needs to helping them find a job, to aiding their families with food or things like that nature.
Gotcha. And Eric, anything you'd like to add here?
Sure. I think Troy and Lola both said it best, and I think I can summarize it with this. Veterans have unique, their situations aren't necessarily unique, but how they got to certain situations can be unique. We all have problems. Every community has problems. Every demographic has problems. Every demographic also does very well. Some don't. Where the veteran is unique is that he already served. He has a lot of tools at his disposal to be able to move forward and lead to a great life. How the community can help. Honestly, try to support any type of pro-veteran legislation, like what just came out on the ballot recently for a $250 rebate for property tax. All these things are great things to help get a veteran moving forward, to kind of give them a boost up, an advantage, if you will. These things are great things. And just simply acknowledging them and thanking them are also great things to do.
All right, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about that. So if somebody would like to help out in their community, specifically with the veteran sector, if they wanted to provide a hot meal, if they wanted to, make a donation, how could they do that, and how would you guys help facilitate that?
I really appreciate that. This team has worked really hard this year to transition our post to be able to launch our online and virtual mobile platforms. We're going to have our new website, and we welcome people to join us at legionpost18.org. That's Legion, Legion, post 18, all one word, .org. And we really hope that folk will come by, learn about the various programs and services that we offer, and join with us as we volunteer to help take care of veterans and communities throughout our area. And one of the ways that people can help is that they can donate. Our veterans were involved, and indeed Lola and Eric and Adam, and we should really mention two other members of our leadership team, our first Vice Commander, Gabriela Reynoso, and our second Vice Commander, Julio Zelaya. These outstanding brethren of arms were part of providing North Hudson its first mental health day, its first women's wellness day, and this year helped register more than 1,000 voters throughout our area. These are all programs where we need neighbors and friends to help join with us so we can lift up the American Legion's 4 pillars of Veterans Affairs, National Security, Americanism, and caring for children and youth. And all of that, in doing so, cares for our vets. I think Eric really made a good point with saying that, you know, we have a lot of resources and hard-won experience within the veteran space. Now is an opportunity not just to provide a handout to us, though we direly do need help with keeping veteran service organizations alive, but also providing veterans a hand up, giving veterans opportunities to lead and to serve, because Eric said it best, that's what we already know how to do. And one of those ways, like Lola just pointed out, buddy checks make a real difference. You know, there's something to hospitality. And I think reaching out and reaching back is a great way to help somebody stand up.
All right. And would either of you guys like to add anything to that?
Sure. And I want to touch on the resources. Actually, that's going to be the topic that Troy gave me to discuss in the future anyway. The veteran himself, each individual veteran comes with a wealth of benefits that they earn while in service, whether it be a 0% home loan, whether it be educational opportunities. I mean, think about it. You could go to a 4-year college, study whatever you want, and you're going to graduate debt free. These are great benefits that can make a veteran very successful. The issues that I see is bridging the gap between leaving the service and getting to your end goal. And that's where I would like to facilitate some sort of help for the veteran community. I see issues within that gap because it takes time to process benefits. It takes time to process, let's say, if a veteran got injured, for him to go through the VA process. A lot seem to get lost in that gap. And that's something I would like to focus on with Troy and the American Legion to close that gap.
And he's right. It's really tough. That period of reintegration leads into a period where you have to build your civilian identity. And that's a hard time. And the utilization of the bureaucracy to get veterans the benefits that they've already earned can be a long process that can be really draining. The opportunity for communities and leaders, elected and otherwise, to help make that process a little less arduous, a little less difficult would be a huge help. That's, you know, Eric talked about our future videos with you, John. We're really looking forward to talking about the various platforms beyond the VA that could help veterans really achieve their full potential. One of those ways is for local communities to earn veteran-friendly status with the New Jersey State Veterans Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber has a list of policy targets that involve making sure a percentage of all government contracts go to veteran-owned businesses, that there's a percentage of veterans on every government workforce. These are simple things that we can do that are very prudent and reasonable and good stewards of the taxpayer's dollar that still take care of veterans throughout our communities. And I couldn't be happier for Eric leading the way as we try to engage that out of Post 18.
Well, yeah, certainly the transition to the civilian lifestyle, the employment factors, something that, like you guys said, we could talk about for at least a half hour, probably a few hours, really. So that is something that we will touch on before the end of the evening, but it sounds also like a subtopic of a broader discussion and something that I've read and that I've seen, you know, on TV or in movies and, you know, basically in large publications, the New York Post, so on and so forth. everywhere, you see it everywhere, is like that during the holidays, you see that suicide and depression are up for everybody, but particular in the veteran space. So for those people that do have post-traumatic stress and other mental health disorders, and those disorders seem to really give them issues during the Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year season, like what's something you guys can do as a post or even just as an individual to try to help out? And the same thing for this, people that are civilians watching that would like to get involved as well. I mean, is there anything they could do to contribute to that cause?
Well, I'm not going to pretend I'll touch on this first if you both don't mind.
Go for it.
I know we were kind of going in order, but I see it a lot. Just out, I mean, forget the military. I mean, just in the community, just, interacting with people. There's a lot of mental health issues out there that just goes unchecked. Within the military community or within any community, I think the best thing that you could possibly do is never leave somebody alone. Always try to engage with people. The more you engage with people, the more you learn, and the easier time you'll have identifying a problem, which is really one of the foundation points of our buddy checks. We want to make sure that, one, our members are doing okay. There's no unknown issues, and if there is an issue, hopefully we can identify it during the check and maybe guiding that person into the right resource to get help. A lot of times, every case is different. I can't really paint a broad brush for it, but I mean, even the Army teaches this. The more you interact with somebody, the more you should be able to learn about the person. The more you learn about the person, you should be able to identify a problem. And that's where the buddy checks come in from our post.
Okay, very good. Anything else on this topic, guys?
Personally, I like to do on Veterans Day. I have a couple of gentlemen that they live nearby. I go and provide lunch and meals there for them, or sometimes just gift cards, like to go to special restaurants where I know they don't go out much, things like that. As far as the social media, soldiers that I personally know that they are an issue and they are on Facebook, I make sure they're engaged more often than not than other regular folks that I know. So, and they appreciate that. They actually call you more often, like every day after that, but it's okay. I don't mind. So things of nature. Those that are in distance, at least keeping communication with them. Those that are close by, at least have a contact and a small gift for them.
Got it.
And really what you heard Lola say earlier about resiliency. I mean, we're trying to nurture stronger and more enduring bonds of affection that can withstand the chaotic times within which we live. You've heard the buddy check system. Tomorrow during Veterans Day, everyone on this call, John, and the rest of our team and other volunteers are going to be out visiting our veterans and members throughout the entirety of the North Hudson area. We're going to be visiting, hopefully, God willing, a couple dozen different vets to make sure that at least one time during this chaotic year that they got somebody reaching out and asking them, hey man, hey lady, are you okay? And then to know that we're there for them. But I really appreciate your question too, though, John, sort of on the structural capacity. Our post has worked really hard on that. I mentioned before that we hosted the first mental health day here in the North Hudson area. And we also partnered last year with the town of Guttenberg to host the Healing in North Hudson event, which brought out 30 plus service providers to our area that were able to address a range of mental health concerns. This is an opportunity going into the holiday season to really tackle some of these questions and work with groups like Family Partners of Hudson County, like Palisades Family Success Center, like so many other groups that have worked with our post to help connect both veterans and our neighbors to the help and services that they need. Eric put it great, we're not in this alone. And last year as well, our various municipalities passed stigma-free legislation. in an attempt to help destigmatize mental health issues in our area. And veterans were a core part of that advocacy and participated in the mental health meet and greets that were put on by the North Hudson Partnership. This is another time then this year in this Veterans Day to join with veterans as veterans work to be credible messengers on issues of suicide prevention, on prevention of substance abuse, and ultimately on nurturing greater access to mental health care. And a simple thing that our neighbors can do is reach out to members of this leadership team, reach out to Legionnaires throughout Hudson County and veterans throughout Hudson County, and ask how can they work with them to get better mental health resources and coverage to families in need.
Got it. So I'd hopefully a little more straightforward and a little less, a little less somber of a question. So as far as what you guys were talking about just a few minutes ago regarding helping the veterans get employment, helping them get interviews, helping them seek employers, like what could you guys do and what could anyone else do to help out on that end?
Let me go ahead and offer just first, and then I want to toss this over to Eric, who's really been driving these issues, as well as Lola, who's, remember, John, Eric and Lola both are still in. They're still serving. And that's in the midst of a pandemic and an economic crisis and all the rest. So everything, Lola, that you said about balancing family life and work stress and everything else, brother, what you're looking at here are some of the best servant leaders you're going to ever find. But one way communities can really help is in the state of New Jersey, every local area has the opportunity to meet the policy targets and earn for their community the New Jersey Governor We Value Our Veterans Award. And that's a list of policy targets that can be hit that include establishing veterans roundtables, increasing access to civic spaces for veterans, creating disabled veteran parking spaces, and a whole list of things that could really make it easier on veterans and military families throughout our area. And at the same time, we welcome anybody, certainly at our post, to hit us up on our new website and find ways that they can work with us to better care for veterans and communities throughout our coverage area.
Okay, what else on this topic?
Well, Lola, did you want to take this, or I'll take it first? It's up to you. I can't even hear. Okay. Excuse me. In my time in the National Guard, I noticed one thing about employability and some of the issues with veterans. It's not easy enough to say that there's just one right answer to it. Every veteran is unique, and to some degree, everybody's their own person. Everybody has their own unique set of problems. So one person might just need some sprucing up with his resume, while another person might need some interview coaching. One might have a career in mind and he needs to use his educational benefits to get a certain certification or degree. I think the post in general should be ready to meet most of these needs. And this is outside the leadership team. For the most part, the entire leadership board has some educational experience, whether it be on the bachelor's, master's, or doctorate level, as in Troy. So we can easily help with educational benefits and how to facilitate that. Resume building, how to search for jobs, how to apply for jobs. It's not a simple answer. We would have to tackle each issue as it comes forward with each individual person.
Got it.
I would like to add something to that.
Sure.
While we are focusing also on veterans that are outside the service, I'd like to focus on the soldiers that are new in the military. Yeah. And I try to facilitate and to make them appreciate and understand the opportunities the military brings to place. So not just with my soldiers that are under my wing, but also in generally speaking, any encounter I get with them. First, I try to recruit them to our post to become members of our Legion 18, of course. But then if they are not able because they're far away for whatever reasons, so I try to bring enough information to them to look at the bright side of beyond just a 2-year contract, beyond just 6-year contract, to the benefits of it. I know it's really hard, especially for civilian jobs, to maintain a civilian job and also the military, because oftentimes it's a conflict with, now, why do I want to have to let you go in orders with 1 day notice or 2 weeks notice? I cannot get you off the schedule. I mean, those are real issues. However, I have an example is I had a soldier just assigned to my team. He just came fresh from basic training and had nowhere to go, literally had nowhere to go. So I happened to be at the unit that day when he in process, and I asked him, I said, well, what's going on? I found out that he had nowhere to go. And I said, well, guess what? I'll take care of you. So he had no car. I drove him home. So, well, my mom will not let me home either. I said, well, where were you planning to sleep tonight? I don't know, he goes. He was 18 years old, just came fresh from basic training. So that kid, I took him to his house. The mother would not let him in. And I was like, what is wrong with you? And the mother said, well, I can't let him in. And she was just like acting really cold-hearted. And I was like, you can't be this cold-hearted, you're a mother. So I put the kid aside, I mean, not a kid, the soldier aside. And she said, well, look, I'm in Section 8 and he's over 18 and I cannot let him live here with me anymore because otherwise they'll get me off the Section 8 as well. So once she actually explained to me the problem, I brought the soldier to my home with me. He stayed with me for literally 3 months. I said, look, you're gonna stay with me, but you're not gonna be leaving mess around the house. You're gonna learn how to cook, clean your own clothes, and you're gonna, I'm going to teach you how to find a job, how to do a resume and everything. And once he was able to do all those things, I found him a job. I helped him how to find a place to live. He got his own place to live. I helped him move. Of course, he had not much, just a duffel bag with clothes. And now he's working full time. And he's changed 5, 6 addresses, so I'm proud of him. He's still keeping the job I found him. So from that moment on, and this was actually 10 years ago that happened, my main focus is to teach soldiers to not be discouraged to just go either civilian or military, but learn to balance both. Look at the benefits of it. And he's still in today. And I look at with the new soldiers, and now even my unit that I am, they always bring new soldiers to me. I tell them, is like, you want to get paid for knowing foreign languages. You want to go to training in California for a year for Arabic, French, Russian, whatever you want, let's go. And I help them process the paperwork and then just walk them all through the process. And they're happy when they get that paycheck, even though they have good jobs, even though they have so-so jobs, especially in this COVID-19 that's happening. They are very thankful that actually they get to go to those trainings. They get paid for it for something that is beneficial to them, but it also is fun to do. So as you said, Eric, transition outside, I look at more of a transition to keep it going in the military side.
Actually, you touched on 2 things that I was touching on before. One is bridging the gap. You go from being told what to do, where to go, when to eat, when to sleep, very, very structured environment, to potentially being cut loose. The military has gotten better with debriefing soldiers before they transition into civilian life, but obviously from the problems that we see out in the world, it's not perfect. I've had similar experiences as Lola did in the Army National Guard side. There was one soldier that I encountered that was actually homeless. There was another soldier. There was a group of soldiers that I've helped throughout the years that were unemployed at one time or another. There were soldiers that had a hard time getting into school. The problems are broad. You can, to some degree, put them into sections as far as different things that you can tackle with them. But once in a while, you do get hit with something very unique, like Lola's case or my case, where I had a homeless soldier inside my ranks that I had to help out.
And notice, John, what I think you're hearing and what I think your audience is hearing that this is a matter of experiencing real need for wraparound coverage. That what you're seeing in the veteran space is not just a need for services across a range of issues, but what you're also hearing is that veterans who manage to endure and get through that now have an experience being able to provide and facilitate that kind of wraparound coverage. That's unique. And that is a resource of extraordinary mission-driven, mission-oriented team players that have not been fully leveraged by our private sector, our public sector, and our nonprofit sector. And Lola, you really make a good point about talking about our younger service members. I want to go ahead and point out as well, though, that there has to be a continuity of care. We try to provide that at American Legion Post 18, and people can see that at legionpost18.org, that we try to not only just welcome younger service members and veterans, but we provide camaraderie, compassion, and care all the way through. I'm really proud of my colleagues on this call and my colleagues and comrades in our post, John, for the work we've done on caring for veterans in hospice. We've really tried to lead the way on that issue, and we brought back memorial ceremonies for veterans who would like to have them, and families of veterans who would like to have them, of our members and comrades throughout our area.
Right, I hate to cut you off, but we're running short, and I just wanted to get at least one more question in before we call it a night here. So as far as active duty goes, Lola and Eric, I mean, you guys talked about some of the challenges, in preceding years, whether that's 1980, 2000, 2015, 2019. Obviously now in 2020, we have COVID-19. You guys alluded to some of the challenges, but what's it like being on active duty during this pandemic? What are some of the added challenges that you haven't experienced before, and how did you adapt and overcome those challenges up to this point anyway?
Harry, go first.
Well, on my end, I didn't serve on active duty during COVID. I was deployed last year. That was pre-COVID. I came home, and then that's when COVID-19 started spreading across the United States. I happened to get, I guess, home on time because my relieving unit actually got held over in country for four additional months. Wow. Because they weren't able to travel. But some of the problems that I saw from people coming home was some of the topics I brought up before, but add a few more, like money management and stuff like that. Going into COVID-19 while serving in the Guard, it was just getting used to a new normal. 1 week in a month, you would bring in 100 soldiers, 200 soldiers, or whatever the numbers may be into an armory, and you couldn't necessarily do that anymore. You had to space them out. You had to provide PPE. You had to provide safeguards for the soldiers. Some units did it very well. Some did it poorly, but a lot of it was lessons learned in the end. I think they've gotten better with it. The National Guard, from what I've read, I didn't participate in these missions, but they were activated to help out with the veterans homes across the state, and from what I understand, they did a phenomenal job assisting some of our older veterans throughout the state. In the end, it was a learning experience for all of us. We got hit with a virus that never existed before. It ravaged our state, but we minimized, for the most part, I think we minimized the damage that it could have caused, and we're just trying to move forward with it.
All right, thanks, Eric. Lola, anything you'd like to say additionally?
I had to actually go to NTC training in California for this past August, which was a record high temperature, 130 degrees, I believe. So working with mask on during that period was not fun.
Doesn't sound fun.
God.
No. But also, we saw a lot of soldiers that tested positive, and they were, they're obligated to quarantine. And we saw a lot of people that actually had their team leaders chopped out. We had their leadership completely chopped out. So they had to restructure, reorganize, and make the missions a success. So it affected a lot. It really had a big effect. I saw it this summer that I went to training, that it had a huge effect on how it went. But again, U.S. Army is one of those armies in the world where you always prepare for the worst. So the next person in line takes the responsibility to kind of do whatever they can best. So at the end, it worked out.
All right, well, glad to hear that. And finally, guys, we're already at time. So just if you could give me a hot take on this one. When you're thinking about your municipal and your county leadership and the governmental structures there and what they've done for Veterans Affairs up to this point in time, what would you like to see happen in the next 12 months if you were able to have a say in the matter?
I'll be last.
All right, come on, Troy, give me something. We'll call it a night.
All right, fair enough. Look, I think that there are two very easy answers to that question. The first is pursuing veteran-friendly status that's conferred by the New Jersey State Veterans Chamber of Commerce. They have a very simple policy target program and checklist where all our leaders and communities have to do is go to their website. Again, that's the New Jersey State Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Take a look at those targets. They're very simple ones, proactively identifying veteran-owned businesses and letting them know about opportunities for public bids, maintaining a 5% of veterans workforce, maintaining at least 6% of contracts going to veteran-owned businesses. Those are very simple and in many cases already achieved targets that when enacted collectively make a real difference. And at the same time, I think our communities locally could pursue the targets laid out by our state government. In the New Jersey Governor We Value Our Veterans Award. These are very simple, attainable, and we think common sense suggestions that can be enacted locally to make a real difference. And then lastly, I do think there's a need to really support and build up our veteran service organizations. We have Post 18, and I think other organizations really appreciate the opportunity to work with community partners, and we're ready, and our members are ready to continue to serve. They already know how to win. They already know how to work. They just need opportunities and platforms to lead the way. And I think those three items would really go a long way in 2021 to making a difference for our veterans and on behalf of our communities.
All right, thanks, Troy. What do you think, Eric?
Eric, you're muted.
You seem to be on mute.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. On my end, I think I'm fortunate. In my local community, I think the Township of North Bergen is actually one of the more veteran-friendly areas of Hudson County, if not the state. Two of our commissioners are veterans. So we have that in our favor as well. But can we do more? Sure. I think some of the things that we could touch on if they wanted to move forward with it is some of the stuff that Troy said, is some of the checklists from the Chamber of Commerce, let's say. There's always more we can do. I think it would depend on how many veterans are actually in the community, how many can we serve, and actually how many actually need help. Like I said before, not all veterans need help. Many do well, but there is a percentage that either do need long-term help or even short-term help, bridging that gap that I was talking about before between leaving the service and certain benefits kicking in where they can move forward with their lives. The degree on which they need help, I'm not sure, but if there was a group within this municipality that needed help, I think the leadership team here is well equipped to deal with that.
All right, great, Eric. And Lola, bring us home. What do you think on this one?
I think that leadership, I would like to thank them first for the support they've given us so far. And I will look forward to their support they're going to give us, because they're not just dealing with a regular team. They're dealing with a team here that we should be able to provide not only support for veterans that are out of service, but also continued support for those who are currently in service, and talking about the benefits, retirements, outgoing, ingoing in military, educational, family support, and so on and so forth. So if they really are able to support us, we should be able to aid a large margin of service members that are in all genres of life. And not only that, but also make complementary gatherings to appreciate, to make everyone feel appreciated that are able and willing to join our post.
Excellent. Well, listen, guys, thank you. I mean, obviously, it was a pleasure to speak with you, and thanks for the time. And once again, thank you for your service, and want to wish everyone watching a happy and healthy Veterans Day. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
We really appreciate it, brother. God bless.